Some of you that follow adoption news might have been seeing lately some articles about Korean adoptions. The Associated Press has been doing some research um, about, especially in the 80s, in the peak of Korean adoptions, there were at least dozens, if not many more children that were basically kidnapped from parents in Korea who were told something that was not true. And it ended up that their kids were taken and placed for adoption, not only in America, but in many other countries. Um, it is interesting that the way we know about this corruption is because a news agency, not governments or not adoption agencies, dug into this topic and found out and did research along with adoptees to find out about these cases. And there's likely many more. And this is, of course, a nightmare scenario that people in international adoption, adoptees, and hopefully adoptive parents are very concerned about and really don't want to continue happening. Now, it's good to look at this in the context of history. I like to look at, um, connect all the dots, and especially when it comes to international adoption, we did not have any sort of good regulation about international adoption in the 80s. It was basically the Wild West. Like, adoptions from Korea were some of the first international adoptions to start at all with any kind of regulation. And that started right after the Korean War with the Holt Adoption Agency. And it wasn't until um, 1994 that the U.S. Signed on to the Hague Convention, which is basically some regulations to try to stop child trafficking, which is basically what happened here. And the U.S. didn't even implement that until 2008. I actually remember that. I was doing an adoption at that time. And I remember the additional paperwork. I remember how the countries kind of, some of them fell off the map. And the adjustment that it was for people with an adoption when that went into effect. But imagine how recent that is. It's only 2008. The U.S. accepted actual standards for international adoption. It's crazy. Um, so this is something that's got to be on our radar as adoptive parents and as anyone connected to adoption, anyone voting for adoption issues. We understand that we have to do better. There are probably kids that could use families um, in other countries, but we have to be way more careful to find the right kids, put them in the right families, and make sure that this type of thing doesn't happen.